welcome the 6th President of the Republic of Kenya. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my pleasure to welcome the one and the only Ambassador Esther Waringa. Celebrate. Come on, let's go. Come on. Come on, let's join kidogo. Wale wageni wote, let's join. Wageni wetu wote tafadhali. Very quickly. All right, thank you very much. Asante sana. Let us welcome Ambassador Esther Waringa. Tuko tayari, tuko imara. Mama sasa ahutubie wananchi. Naona ya kwamba speech imewekwa tayari, mama yuko tayari. Kenya nchi yetu, mama ni wetu, wakati ndio sasa. Thank you so much, our guests. You can have your seats as we get addressed by Ambassador Esther Waringa. Thank you very much, Madam Esther. We will be presenting that at the end. Tutakuwa tunamweka baadaye. Sawa sawa. Asanteni sana.
Shukran sana. My dear fellow Kenyans, distinguished leaders, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Ambassador Esther Waringa, the President of Public Service Governance na Rais wa sita wa Jamhuri ya Kenya. I stand before you here today with a resolute desire to transform this country and rebuild it into a true heartbeat of Africa, a nation that leads in socio, economic, and human development in the continent. Ladies and gentlemen, it is in this regard that I have made this firm, deliberate decision to offer myself for the service leadership and learn for the office of Kenya's 6th President, Head of State and Government, and the 6th Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Forces of the Republic of Kenya. Wananchi wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, this is a defining moment for our nation. A moment to rise above our challenges. It is a moment to confront our realities with courage and determination. It is a moment to chart a new path of hope in the Republic of Kenya. It is a moment of unity. It is a moment of shared prosperity. Ladies and gentlemen, my commitment is clear: to provide leadership that is bold, leadership that is inclusive, leadership that is firmly focused on delivering measurable results that improve the lives of every Kenyan in the Republic of Kenya. Wananchi wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, Kenya shall not merely exist among developing nations. We shall become a masterpiece of development in the continent of Africa. A country where innovation drives growth. A country where institutions serve the people with integrity. A country where opportunity is accessible by all and to all. Where dignity, where divinity, where equity, where justice define our national character as a country. Ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you here, humbled by your faith, inspired by your resilience, and strengthened by your unwavering hope in the promise that we have for Kenya. Ladies and gentlemen, our country stands at a defining moment We are very rich as a country. We are very talented as a country. We have abundant resources as a country, but we must be united and forge forward to bring the Mama wa Taifa leadership in Kenya. Ladies and gentlemen, as I stand here today, I present to you a very clear and actionable vision anchored on 3 pillars. One is good governance, second is economic stability, and third is social justice. My 6th government of the Republic of Kenya shall be anchored on the principles of constitutionalism, efficiency, accountability, a citizen-centered service delivery. To achieve this, the following policy interventions shall be implemented. Number 1, we shall strengthen all public institutions. Wizara zote za serikali. My government shall undertake comprehensive reforms in the public service to professionalize and depoliticize the public service through merit-based recruitment, continuous capacity development, and establish a robust performance management and accountability system across all institutions of the public service. Wananchi lazima wapate services ambazo wamekuwa wakisubiri. Mama hachezi na mtu na hata cheka na watu sana. Kazi lazima ifanywe. Ladies and gentlemen, I will establish alternative systems of governance. In pursuit of this, the government shall initiate a comprehensive national dialogue and legal reform process to review the current governance framework with a view to strengthening meritocracy. Meritocracy is a priority in my government. Integrity, leadership competence in the public service is a great priority in my government. The objectives of these reforms shall be to address the systematic challenges that we are currently experiencing. Ati mtu yoyote atokae popote kwa sababu anajulikana na rais anaingia kufanya kazi. No, it shall be merit and competent based. Ladies and gentlemen, number 3, my government shall uphold the rule of law. My 6th government shall uphold and protect the supremacy of this constitution of the Republic of Kenya that has been dumped by many leaders. We shall strengthen judicial independence, ensuring equal application of this law to everybody, from watu wa Kibera, watu wa Mathare, watu wa Ravington, watu wa Embakasi, watu wa Turkana, watu wa Mombasa. We shall all be bound by the power of this constitution, but not by how better we know the presidency. Ladies and gentlemen, we shall also institution powerful and progressive principles of good governance. My 6th government shall entrench the principles of accountability, responsibility, integrity, transparency, and responsiveness through open governance systems, mandatory public disclosure mechanisms, and strict enforcement of ethical leadership standards. Ladies and gentlemen, my government is totally committed to decapitate corruption to zero levels. My government shall adopt a zero-tolerance approach to corruption by strengthening the investigative agencies. We have the DCI, the DPP, the Judiciary, and the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, and all prosecutorial agencies, enforcing lifestyle audits, expediting the recovery of public assets, and sealing systematic loopholes that facilitate corruption. Tukikushika umeiba mali ya umma, wacha nikuambie serikali ya Mama wa Taifa haitacheka na mtu yeyote. Tunakufunga ndani. Then the justice systems can take effect. We cannot allow our taxpayers again. The money that they pay for taxes is meant for water, for free education, for a good health system, for our infrastructure development, but not for people's pockets. So watu wajaanze kujitayarisha kutoka leo. Ukijua ya kwamba umeiba mali ya umma, anza kurudisha kama Mama wa Taifa hajachukua serikali. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me now to talk about economic recovery and stability. Fellow Kenyans, our economy must work for all of us. Not a family shall go hungry with the Mama wa Taifa government. We We will transition from a consumption-driven economy to a production-driven economy. Kenya must produce what it consumes by investing in agriculture, manufacturing, and innovation. I must say that we are about to make agriculture the backbone of our economy. Kwa hivyo wale wanarima huko nyumbani, gojeni mama wa taifa anakuja mbio, and we are going to make sure that those farms produce enough for our country and our continent. Ladies and gentlemen, we shall enhance industrialization and manufacturing. My sixth government shall prioritize industrialization by investing in value addition. Watu wa kahawa, watu wa majani mko wapi? For the longest time, we export low coffee, we export roti, we export everything low. It is time to process our product to the last exportable products that we can be able to consume here na tupeleke mataifa mengine. We shall process everything here within our country, and that's an opportunity to create jobs for our youth. Wana youth, nimewasikiza. Sasa msijari, mama amekuja. Nawaambie wote waondoke kwa njia, waondoke mama wa taifa. I salute all presidential aspirants. I salute all of you, but let me tell you, it is time for Ambassador Waringa to take over government and lead the Republic of Kenya. Ladies and gentlemen, my administration will see a tax regime that is going to reduce the taxation to 10%. We shall undertake comprehensive tax reforms to simplify and lower the overall tax burden from Kenyans to an average of 10%. Currently it's at 16%. We are going to broaden the tax base, enhance compliance system through digital systems, and stimulate growth and investments. Ladies and gentlemen, currently we have a very big or huge wage bill. Right now, ukijulikana na mkubwa unaingizwa kwa serikali. But that is coming to an end, because we must reduce the wage bill. People must work hard to be in government. People must qualify. People must present themselves as people of integrity, as people who uphold accountability, as people who are ready to self-serve their country. Wakati wa kuingia ofisi, unaweka koti pale na wewe ni waziri wa maji, alafu unakimbia sijui wapi, unakuja kuchukua koti saa 11 ya jioni, mama wa taifa ameingia. Ladies and gentlemen, my government will enhance multilateral and bilateral relations with other nations. Therefore, we shall strengthen trade partnership. We shall strengthen negotiable favorable trade agreements with other nations, and we shall promote export through diversification, value addition, and improved market access in regional and global markets. Ladies and gentlemen, finally, reduction of government expenditure and wastage. I listened to a debate this morning on radio when I was coming, and the debate was that within a very short time of about 4 years or less, we have spent a budget that exceeds what the last government spent for 8 years. This is wastage. With Mama wa Taifa, if you know, and especially the public service, I'm speaking to those who are in the public service, from the Ministry of Water, Energy, Agriculture, Education, Health, especially nyinyi watu wa SHA. We cannot allow any other time wa mama wanaenda kupanga laini kule hospitali wakigojea hiyo SHA ifanye kazi. If you are not able to work, get off government and we can take over government tomorrow. We are ready to take over government tomorrow. If you are not able to serve Kenyans, we cannot allow our women to continue wanabeba mitungi kilometers and kilometers looking for water when we have a government ministry of water. No. We cannot again allow our children to be out of class. Our children are losing education because of the high cost of education in the country. Where did the free education by His Excellency Honorable Mwai wa Kibaki ilienda wapi? Of course, with a mother. Unajua a mother ni mama wa taifa, na ni lazima apatie watoto wake wote maziwa. Kwa hivyo maziwa tutarudisha kwa shule, lakini haitakuwa maziwa ya Rais Moi. itakuwa maziwa ya mama wa taifa, watoto wote wa shule wapate. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk about education, because education is key in this country, and we will invest in education for all, ensuring that every Kenyan child from ECD to university, wako wapi wale wa university now, education. And I don't know how to pretend to say things. When I say it, even my team knows. When I say it, it will happen no matter what. So listen here and listen carefully. Go tell your colleagues, with Mama wa Taifa government, education for all my children in Kenya will be free from ECD to university. Kwa hivyo wale wanaimba mali ya serikali, ile pesa ambayo inapaswa kwenda kusomesha hawa watoto, muondoke kwa serikali kama mama hajaingia. So ladies and gentlemen, we shall increase the education budget from the current 700 billion to 1.1 trillion to facilitate free education from ECD to university. Ladies and gentlemen, we shall transform agriculture, I have said it, as the backbone, to be the backbone of the economy of Kenya. Agriculture is currently giving to our GDP 21%. We want to enhance agriculture so that we raise the GDP injection to 40% through modern farming, access to markets, and value addition. Ladies and gentlemen, our youths, nyinyi ni vijana wangu. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce you my Gen Z, my last born child. He's the one who has designed all the posters that you have. Actually, sometimes I have two young men. They're almost twins. One of them is out of the country, but we have one who is with us here. Nimlete nisimlete. You see the power of Gen Zs. They usually sit down with mom. Mom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, tutafanga campaign hivi, hii poster ya campaign itakaa hivi. And I tell you, the power of Gen Zs. Mujitayarisha kuwa mawaziri katika serikali ya mama. But with competence, with merit, with capacity to deliver. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my singular honor to bring you the son to Mama wa Taifa. His name is James Kagoro, and actually he's the last born. Thank you, Pressure. Thank you for giving a backup to Mom. Wasalimia too.
Hi everyone, I'm James Kagoro. I'm mtoto wa Mama Esther.
Thank you very much. Now you can see when I talk about the youth, we will prioritize youth empowerment by creating pathways for qualified young people to serve in public service institutions. You have seen them. Where is our variable? Our variable, come here right now. Mpigieni makofi. Look at the power of Gen Zs. Thank you very much, Moses. Well done. He's a leader. Yes. He's a leader. Yes. Unajua Rais Moi alikuwa na mtu alikuwa anaitwa Mr. Kirui. Yeye ndiye alikuwa coordinator wa presidential missions and speaker of the presidential missions. Receive it. Thank you. Thank you. Aya, asante sana. Ladies and gentlemen, we will ensure accessible and affordable health care by establishing hospitals and dispensary, or mama, hospitals and dispensary that are equipped with medicine. We shall conduct a comprehensive review of Social Health Authority, SHA. SHA tutaiangazia, SHA tutaiangaria, SHA tutaimurika, and we are going to ensure that kama kuna cartels ndani ya SHA, you go home yesterday. Woman-led government of Mama wa Taifa wa Jamhuri ya Kenya. In that regard, we join other nations around the world, including the Republic of Tanzania and other nations that have been led by women. And therefore, I dedicate myself to you Kenyans. Kenya here today needs a president who will drive real change. One who will position our nation as a global pace setter in socio-economic and sustainable development. And that leader is none other than the one speaking to you, Asante. As I wind up now, ladies and gentlemen, the state of the nation is wanting. Allow me to talk a little bit about the rising cost of fuel shortage in the country. Allow me to address the ongoing disruption of transport, disruption of livelihoods, that have driven up the cost of living and slow down economic productivity across the country. This situation demands immediate, decisive and coordinated government action. Kwa hivyo serikali, even before I come into government as a president, right now the government must move with speed immediately to stabilize the fuel supply in Kenya. The government must now move urgently to engage oil marketers. Msijari mvua ni baraka, that means presidency imetoka juu, ndio hiyo sasa. Urais tumepewa na Mwenyezi Mungu. Yes, the government must move with speed urgently to engage oil marketers, President Ruto, importers and financiers to restore consistent supply. Strategic reserves should be released where necessary to cushion the carriage shortage. Ladies and gentlemen, we must enhance transparency as a country in fuel procurement, fuel pricing and distribution.
Let us move this.
Ladies and gentlemen, okay, thank you. Thank you, dear ones. Yes, I'm talking to the government that Kenyans are suffering because of high cost of fuel. We must move very quickly. The regulatory bodies, that is the EPRA, Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority. We must move very quickly and act firmly against hoarding, black market activities and non-compliance in the oil sector. Ladies and gentlemen, in the medium and long term, Kenya must accelerate investment in alternative renewable energy sources to reduce over-reliance. Na nikimaliza mambo ya mafuta niseme ya kwamba, okay, thank you dear, thank you, so that we reduce on disruption. Nikimaliza mambo ya mafuta, nataka kusema tulikuwa na oil refinery Mombasa. We ask the government to move with speed to ensure that the oil from Turkana, the crude oil, goes quickly to Mombasa. It is refined within the boundaries of the Republic of Kenya so that Kenyans can benefit from it. We need to benefit from the crude oil. Na pia nilisikia mtu akiniambia, somebody was whispering to me, ya kwamba there are some politicians who have bought the land ya mafuta Turkana. Kama mama hajafika State House, mkuwe release that land. I'm coming very fast. Na hatucheki na mambo ya kuiba mali ya serikali. So finally, ladies and gentlemen, politicians in Kenya, moving left and right and center, wakitusiana, wakirushiana maneno, slow down all of you. Actually, the government is already taken. Na mama wa taifa, there is no need of you abusing each other again. Those who are in opposition, those who are in government, now stop it. Serikali sasa ni ya mama wa taifa, you can relax kutusiana. Our nation cannot progress where division, hostility and exclusion define our political engagement. Kenya belongs to all of us, regardless of ethnicity, political affiliation, religion or background. All leaders must promise a culture of respect for one another, national unity and issue-based leadership. We shall strengthen and enforce laws against hate speech. In Kenya mama akingia na tusikia ya kwamba wewe unafungua mdomo yako unatusi mwingine, our intelligence will catch up with you very fast. So hate speech must be a thing of the past. Incitement must stop. Discrimination against other candidates must stop, while fostering platform for dialogue, tolerance and peaceful coexistence. And in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, this is our moment. A moment to rise above division. A moment to choose courage over fear. A moment to build a nation that works for everyone. The journey ahead will require unity. Ndio tuweze kutoka Nairobi, twende campaign Mombasa, twende campaign Ukambani, watu wa Ukambani we are coming, twende campaign Marsabit, twende campaign Madera, twende campaign watu wa Kisumu mko hapa, watu wa Kakamega tunakuja, na by the time tumaliza hiyo campaign, nchi itakuwa inasema mama wa taifa aingie. Maybe IBC haitakuwa na kazi mingi because mama atakuwa ameingia automatically. Ladies and gentlemen, now it is therefore my singular honor to declare my presidential bid officially launched this day. May God bless you all. May God bless Kenya. May God bless the Republic of Kenya. Na sasa twende tuseme ya kwamba tushangilie Kenya, taifa letu tukufu. Kenya tunayoipenda, dunia yetu tunayoipenda. Na ingine tunasema